Weirdos, this is Evan Jarvix with Make Oklahoma Weirder, and this is not your local music vlog for the week. This is a special bonus vlog of sorts, and I know I haven't been on the vlogs in a couple weeks because I've been trying to finish up that Big 50, and I wasn't really quite ready to mentally move on to 2019 till I had all that wrapped up, but it's wrapped up now. You may have noticed if you follow and pay attention, which if you're watching this, I'm sure you do. You know that I finished writing all of those 50 music reviews and put out the very last of them on Monday, Tuesday. It was this week. But anyway, that's all done now, which is awesome. I've gotten some good feedback on it, which is exciting. I mean, the key thing is to just, celebrate how much awesome music is coming out of this state from all genres, from all walks of careers. Popular artists and obscure artists alike are making such great music that I think a lot of times, if more people were aware of it, maybe our reputation would be a little bit better sometimes. But anyway, that's all done. And I wanted to do this real quick to kind of go into a little bit about what went into the process of making the Big 50. It's my third year doing it, but this one was particularly long. Like, I actually put more effort into this than I had prior to, I think. And part of that's just because there's so much music, and part of that's just really wanting to convey as much of it as I could. I'm also going to talk about some of the honorable mentions, and then I've got a bonus list for you. So we're going to save that for the end. Really quick, I haven't really had anybody ask me, but I have a feeling it rattles around in people's brains as to how people, choose their best of lists. And in my case, I want to kind of be, open about it. I look for a lot of what a lot of people look for. Is it a quality record? Does it have, a quality recording? Is it well mixed? Is it well performed? Is it well written, etc.? In addition to that, I'm also looking for what I would say originality, not necessarily innovation. I do like innovation. I like things that are kind of eccentric and that try out new things and push the boundaries, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Last year, my 2017 album of the year was John Moreland, who I don't feel like really pushes boundaries. He's just so freaking good at what he does. But like this year, I picked an album that I think does push boundaries in an interesting way by sort of drawing back from the boundaries and sort of redrawing them in a way, which you can read all about. The Adam and Kizzy album, that was my number one album of the year. I value sort of originality, a unique artistic voice that is well expressed, that sort of says something that's not cliche, something that's a little bit different, something that, hasn't been done before is kind of the big thing. I love all the folk music that we have. There's so much of it, but I feel like a lot of times some of it just gets a little stuck in kind of redoing the same thing over and over again, and sometimes even pandering, I would say, to an audience that wants the same old thing. And, there's plenty of that, and it gets plenty of coverage. And I had a few folk albums in this Big 50, but probably not nearly as much as I have had in the past. And that's just because I feel like all these other areas are so interesting. All these other styles of music that have really been kind of building momentum. And if you're into all that folk music stuff, which I do like it. By all means, I listen to a lot of it. But if you want another list to look at, please check out Ryan LaCroix's list. I think he's the only other person in Oklahoma City who did like a full-blown actual like best of albums list for the Oklahoma area. At least in Oklahoma City. But KOSU.org, he put out his list, which included a lot of artists that did not make my list, So if you lean more towards that, please check out his list. It's a really good list. Okay, I hope that explains a little bit of it. I'll also mention I'm a sucker for concept albums, and I really like albums or songs that kind of have a message. You don't have to have a message. Great music is great music no matter what. But if you kind of have a story to tell, or especially if you have, something that can really, change, like open up people's minds to your perspective through music, I feel like that's one of the greatest things art can do. So if you're doing that rather than just trying to be cool, I'm going to value, your art that actually speaks about something, probably more so than just something being cool. And that's probably why Sports did not make my best albums list. They did make my singles list because they sound awesome. But didn't really get a lot of a message out of their album. Wasn't really sure what they were trying to say, and their concept was kind of confusing. Although I admire the risks that they took. Anyway, this is not going to be an explanation of everything that didn't make it. But I do want to shout out a few real quick. I'm not going to get to everything because I have like a growing list every year that tops over 100 releases that I, think about putting in. So obviously I have to edit that down. Singles, I want to shout out Kalira for Sunset Boulevard, which I really liked. It was probably the best song they've put out. Well, it's the only song they've put out in a couple years, but one of their best songs, maybe ever. Cat Lock, Hard to Find, which was really... she was in the list for so long, and then I ended up taking it back out. But I love me some structural changes in songwriting, and that's kind of hard to find. So Mad Honey, Cruel to Know was really great. Linka, Chicana Baby, please check that one out. There's so many. Let me move on to EPs. I gotta shout out S. Reedy, who didn't make the list but was in there for a long time. Please check out his album if you haven't yet. Atonal Apples had a really interesting one. 1 to 10 was a really good one. Bad Athlete. Nicolo Cron had a really good hip-hop album this year. EP, I should say. Discordia, if you're into metal. Plainspeak had a really good one. Maddie Razook also. Elise had a good one. Ben Quad and My Heart and Liver, The Best of Friends, had a split EP that I liked a lot. Kid Foster, who I don't even think many people know about. Electronic artist who, last I checked, was moving away, but really good artist. I wish more people would know about that artist, Kid Foster. LPs... LPs, I like the Net record. It's really, really weird, but just didn't quite make it in. Sean C. Johnson put out a crazy good gospel R&B record this year, which is another one that I had like in the list for a long time. I believe that one was actually even like eligible for a Grammy or something this year. Jay French, who has had a good year, put out an album at the beginning of the year, got a huge write-up in the Gazette, and then sort of did like a 2.0 on it, or it's like a 1 point, I forget, but Jay French's album almost made it in. Levi Parham had a good album. Dial Tone had a good album. There's so many. L Smooth had a really good one. There's just, there's only 20 spots. It's so hard to choose. And, if I had redone it all over from the ground up, I'd probably get a different list every time. So with my last 40 seconds, I do have this bonus list for you. The top 10 music videos of the year. Number 10, Obscurity by Alan Doyle. Number 9, Ducks by When the Clock Strikes. Number 8, Day Ones by Grand National. Number 7, Song for Am by Krim. Number 6, Carnival by Nicolo Cron. Number 5, Sunset Boulevard by Kali Ra. Number 4, Carousel by Me Oh My. Number 3, Let's Go by Flock of Pigs. Number 2, Upside by Steph Simon. And number 1, Sandman / Boys Got to Go by Broncho. So that's probably going to be an article that I'm going to post real soon. And thanks for listening.